Hello everybody, Dave DeVore. A couple thank yous I want to throw out to Rick for letting me take the time to create this video and talk about something I'm very passionate about. And to Deanna, thank you for always giving me enough rope to go bungee jumping with. So I've been asked to talk with you a little bit about design thinking and rapid prototyping and all the different tools that are out there that really can help us not only develop and build products, but also to kind of work our way through them, but really to think about them not from our point of view, but really from the user's point of view, to really get that big picture and the big win. So with Christian and Sarah, I believe you guys went through and you did the marshmallow game, and then I believe you did some creative design or design thinking kind of philosophy using Concur. And I'd like to really just kind of expand on that a little bit. So as you guys learned through a lot of this stuff, that design thinking, who was really fostered and brought to its peak by David Kelly with IDEO, really started to bring in the thought of empathy, really thinking it from the user's point of view to start to create products. And it was really successful, and it still is to this day. Because many times when people develop things, they think of what I really want, the me, versus the user and what they want. So David Kelly and his group at IDEO really started to go through and thinking about really doing the research and studying what was going on and thinking about the users and really observing what happened when people used products. And that's why Concur was such an awesome example. I mean, we all use it, but we all have different experiences, and we can all think about what we'd really like to happen if we were to develop something with that. So from that, you go through the iterative process to create that new product of understanding, observing, and prototyping, which is an awesome iterative cycle, which we'll talk about a little bit more here in a second. And then finally, you do the implementation phase, right? The actual developing of the what you've thought about into how you're going to do it. Now, that brings us to the story where we kind of got in and used some of this to potentially develop, because it's still in the works, is the onboarding process, which many of us either been a part of, either onboarded, or have seen, or have even had just deep dives into it, right? So when we took a look at that, basically, since you guys got to play with some fun toys and tools out there with your design thinking thing, I figured I would use comic book format to go over what we did here. So what happened? Well, Deanna gave me a call, and we were talking about the onboarding process and about how there was a need to really drive it, something sleek, something dynamic. And conveniently, I broke both of my feet, and so I was open to a challenge because I really wasn't going anywhere, literally. So we talked and talked and talked about it and kind of brainstormed it a little bit, and then we said, okay, let's give it a go and see what we can do. So what we did was we started to think about crowdsourcing it. Let's bring the users in. Let's use David Kelly's methodology of design thinking and really think about the what we're going to develop. So we went through and I started reaching out to one of the local universities, and I started sending emails and videos and making phone calls. I even went around and started talking to a lot of our internal people who were subject matter experts, people who would have to work on these things, develop these things, test these things, to get their perspective. So we got it from all different sides to really think of what we were building. We created some crazy YouTube videos, and they are available, and yes, feel free to laugh at them. But we did, and we put them out there to kind of make sure that not only are people who are involved in this crowdsourcing and this design thinking activity we were going to do were in the know, but it also kind of fired them up and got their passions up. So we went around, we got one of our local universities involved, we got some continental people from multiple divisions involved, and kind of brought them all together to do this event. Now, at the same time, we went around and spoke to a lot of the leadership of those different groups to make sure that we had their buy-in and we had their support. And I'll tell you what, it was a great effort and a great support from those people. So everybody really kind of got involved in this, even though they, was something on top of their regular work. Now, with that, we finally held a 2-day event. And this is where we used a lot of that design thinking, but also really that rapid prototyping methodology. So we had students from UNCC Charlotte, and they came and helped us out with a lot of our internal experts. And we went through and basically we used a Scrum and Agile methodology to kind of kick it off. Our driver talked about their product that they wanted. They talked about what the priorities were. And we went through, and the students and our internal people ended up dividing into 2 teams, and they went through many different iterative cycles in what we like to call a time box. So we gave them specific amount of times, and all they were allowed to do is work on development and prototyping during those times. And they did it several times. Now with that, they went through and they did some paper prototyping, they did some whiteboard prototyping, and each time the time box would end, our product owner would come back and give them direct feedback. And it's very different from the way we're used to getting feedback, because feedback usually they feel is a two-way street. Somebody fires something at you and you feel like you have to respond. In this case, they didn't get to. They just heard everything the end user was going to need and really the priorities, and they took that in with each iterative cycle and built it in to the what they were developing. And so they went through, and finally what they came up with was they did a Prezi or PowerPoint presentation of the product, and they built it all up, and they prepared for a report out to show it to the people who would end up using it and end up being involved in it. So that brings us down to here. So we had our two different groups with two different styles, a lot of similarities though, bringing in gamification and all sorts of cool interactive and adult development things. And a lot of our steering committee members and sponsors and end users came to see what was going on, and they gave direct feedback, and we collect all that. And that's where we are today. We're right here, the big question mark, because we're currently in this process of going and seeing, how we can now take this to go live. And so we're trying lots of different things, again, to make sure that we can go live with this product and really let it run. So what you need to understand is, even though you just went through the design thinking part of this stuff, there's a whole lot of stuff that are out there, tons of tools that are available to you that allow you to build on each one of these things. Don't just put it in one box and then say, I got another box over here. So it isn't just that design thinking mentality. There's also combinations of things from like Scrum and Agile, from traditional project management, from action lists. You have CVS, Six Sigma, and problem solving. All those can be brought into this to really develop cool things and then take them to the next level. You start getting in the rapid prototyping and the iterative design thinking. Once again, you don't just take one tool out of the toolbox. You have this opportunity of this plethora of products and tools we can use to really come up with some really creative things and drive us into the future. So if you have any questions, concerns, or comments, please call me, and thank you again, and I hope you enjoy your time in Mexico.